This one's titled, "Yes, I work in the airport. No, I don't work for the airlines." Sorry in advance, this is a long one. Strap yourself in. Also on mobile, so there might be some format issues and autocorrect problems. Please bear with me. Some background. I work for a rental car company in a very small airport. Literally, the airport consists of one room with TSA working as a partition between the entrance to the airport and the gate to board the plane. The front desk of the rental car company is rather large with the company name on it. It's also the first thing travelers see when they enter the airport, whether it's coming off the plane or coming in to board the plane. So I'm used to people coming in and thinking we're all-knowing information booth for the airport, regardless of the large yellow wall behind me or the big letters on the desk. Typically, the information that people are looking for is easy enough for me to answer, i.e. when does Alaska Airlines open, what do I do about parking, where is TSA, etc. All the questions are a bit annoying since the airport is only one room and all it would take is for someone to walk 5 steps in any direction to get to the right location, but it is what it is. Also, it is worth mentioning that it is FAA regulations that airlines have to close down 40 minutes prior to departure. After that time, you cannot check in for your flight and you cannot get a boarding pass, and that is all on the system. You cannot check in on your phone or electronic kiosks with less than 40 minutes before departure. To be clear, this is done for homeland security reasons and is not due to staffing issues. Once the 40 minutes mark passes, all staff and passengers have to go to the secure side of the airport and cannot come back until after the flight takes off. At larger airports, these regulations are either not as well known or not a huge problem, since going through security usually causes people to check in for flights within an hour or two to spare. But at our little hole in the wall airport, people frequently come in with less than 40 minutes until their flight because TSA takes less than 5 minutes to get through, regardless of the fact that Alaska Airlines sends email updates to let you know to come in 2 hours before your flight. With that all being said, let's move on to the actual IDWHL moment. A customer approached my desk to pick up his rental car. I go through all the paperwork and send him on his way. He comes back a few days later to turn in his car and catch his flight. It is pretty standard with our customers that they are usually pretty avid travelers and have their travel plans perfect to a T. So, the customer hands me the keys to the rental, a printout of the receipt, let him know that Alaska Airlines closes soon and that if he needs to get his boarding pass or check a bag, do it soon. Customer grunts and carries on his way. I've done my part, so I'm getting ready for the customer that are coming in to the next flight. I hear the Alaska agent make their stereotypical 5-minute until the desk closes announcement. I keep doing my thing. Now, usually there are 3 people working my booth, but due to some complex staffing issues that aren't worth getting into, I was the only one working that day. Additionally, it was one of our more high volume days, so I was along doing a 3-person job by myself and attempting to get all the cars I needed ready. As I finished getting the last car ready that I needed, the car the customer just returned, I come in from the parking lot to see the customer standing at my desk. He's talking on the phone, making it difficult to talk to him, and I find out what he needs. Obviously upset that I wasn't at the desk constantly. The entire exchange goes like this. Customer to the phone. Yeah, I can't find anyone that fucking works here. Puts itinerary down on the desk in front of me. Customer to me. Check me in. Me. Sorry sir, but I don't work for the airlines. I just do the rental cars. Customer to phone. Hold on a second. She's being dumb. To me. What do you mean you can't check me in? You work for the airport, don't you? Me. Yes, I work in the airport, but I don't work for the airlines. If you need a boarding pass, you need to talk to the airlines. Customer. There's no one there. Me. Yes. So they have to close in 40 minutes prior to the departure per FAA regulations. You're going to have to wait until they come back after the next flight takes off. At this point, the inbound flight has landed and my customers are lining up behind the man at the counter, but the man wasn't willing to accept my information. But I'm supposed to be on that plane. Yes, so unfortunately without a boarding pass, there is nothing anyone else can do. You will have to wait for an agent to come back and get you rescheduled on the next flight out. Well, go to the back and get one of them for me. I'll wait. Goes back to talking to someone on the phone that's been pressed in his ear for the entire time. I'm sorry sir, my booth is completely separate from the airlines. There is no way for me to grab someone from the back. Customer to the phone. Sorry, hold on. It seems that nobody here can do the job. To me, if you can't get anyone, then how am I supposed to make my flight? Unfortunately, you have missed it. You will need to wait for an Alaska agent to come back and reschedule, or call the 800 number on their podium. This is just ridiculous. Give me my freaking car back. I'll just drive it to the other airport myself. Unfortunately, I can't do that either. I go on to explain how I didn't have the availability to send a car one way and how I had to honor my reservation in the order that they've come in. So everyone piled up in the line behind him needed to get their cars first. However, if he was willing to wait for an hour, I could take care of all the customers in line and go back and clean the car to get him to his destination. He didn't like the idea either. Something about he would miss his connecting flight if he waited an hour. But the drive to his next destination would take 3 hours anyways, so he was going to miss his connecting flight regardless. You have two options. You're either checking me in for this flight right now, or you're gonna get someone who can. We go back and forth for another 5 minutes about how I can't do anything for him, but he wasn't going to leave until I did something. At this point, the customer behind him started getting irritable. It's 7 PM, they just want to go into their rental cars and go to their hostels. Handed me his phone. Please explain to my boss how you refuse to let me in on this plane. I'm not refusing to let you on, I just don't work for the airlines. But I take the phone and explain the situation to his boss. Unfortunately, your employee missed their flight. It didn't matter that I told him to check in, that the airlines made announcements, or that any other airport would have had the same problem. He was more concerned with his phone than his travel plans. I hung up the phone, passed it back to him and ushered him out of the way and towards the direction of the airline's desk, where he spent the next 30 minutes crying and blubbering to try and get on the flight that had already taken off. The next flight wasn't until 5 AM the next day. Thankfully, the rest of the people in the line were abnormally nice to me. I think they must have heard how rude the man was being. TLDR, entitled man misses his flight and expects a rental car company to get him on the plane. His entitlement cost him a rental car and he spent the rest of the night crying. This one's titled Man Tries to Return Bananas at a Electronics Store. Back in 2013, I worked at a service desk at Fry's Electronics. One day, a man walked up to the counter, but instead of handing us a laptop to repair, he places down a bag of groceries and asked us to return some bananas that have started to mold. I informed the man that he's looking for Fry's Food and Drug, but he's currently in Fry's Electronics, and he's convinced that I'm lying to him and just don't want to tell him where the food section is. Eventually, he demands to speak to my manager, then his manager, until he gives up and waits inside the store for his son to drive over and pick him up. I don't remember any of the conversation, and I'm not sure if this goes in this subreddit, but here, enjoy the story anyway. Lol. This one's titled Wholesome IDWHL. This happened yesterday and was actually incredibly cute. I was at Petco getting some stuff for my fish and also admiring one of the chameleons. A lady with a 2-year-old daughter was watching the chameleons as well and started asking me questions. I think she was surprised that I knew the answer to her chameleon questions, and she said, "Do you work here?" Me, "No, I just have reptiles." "Oh, well, would you mind telling us about the rest?" So that's how I gave a mini reptile lesson to a lady and her kid. She asked a lot of questions and ultimately seemed enamored with the birdies. Maybe she'll end up giving one a good home. Smiley face. This one's titled Everybody Makes Mistakes. Everybody has those days. This is not a long one, so don't get mad at me. So about an hour ago, from when I am texting this, me and my mum went shopping in a sports store, and my mum asked a stranger she thought to be working at the store, and the woman kindly said, "I don't work here, so I don't think I can help you." and they both laughed about it because she did look like an employer, and that's pretty much it. I know it was short, but I thought it would be funny. It's just a simple mistake.